Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and make the invisible weight of caregiving visible. If you're a caregiver, whether you're a family member looking after a loved one or a direct support professional, you already know this work is deeply, deeply meaningful. But man, it is also exhausting, right? Today, we're breaking down the science and the strategy of caregiver wellness. And we're starting with one fundamental truth: your own well being. It's not optional. It is absolutely essential. We're going to explore exactly why you need daily rest, not as some kind of rare reward, but as a hard requirement. Now, take Marcia's story. It just perfectly captures this toxic myth that so many of us fall into. She's a full-time caregiver for her 14-year-old son with autism and her 9-year-old daughter. And she honestly believed that if she just sacrificed a little more of her own sleep, she could make everything perfect. Well, that mindset literally caused her to pass out in her kitchen from sheer exhaustion. She was just burning herself out, trying to be everything to everyone. And it's a trap so many of us know too well.
Which brings us to Section 1, Recognizing the Burnout Trap, Hitting the Wall.
So there's a really crucial distinction we need to make here between burnout and compassion fatigue. Burnout is that deep, bone-tired emotional, physical, and mental depletion. Compassion fatigue, though, that's the emotional numbness you get from constantly absorbing the suffering of others. Take Keisha, for example. She's a super dedicated direct support professional who worked in a group home for over 11 years. She hit a wall where she literally couldn't stop crying after a shift. She was completely emotionally checked out. She finally realized she needed to take a guilt-free mental health day because, as she put it, if I don't take care of me, I'm no good to anyone else. Spot on, right? And that beautifully illustrates the massive shift we have to make in our thinking. The myth whispers that you must do it all alone, and that taking time to rest means you're being selfish. But the reality? You absolutely cannot pour from an empty cup. We really have to redefine self-care. It's not some selfish luxury or a fancy spa day. It is a strategic, absolute necessity for sustainable caregiving. Think about it like this. Just as a car needs gas to keep running, you need daily rest. You would never, ever expect your car to run 100 miles on an empty tank, right? Yet, as caregivers, we expect our bodies and minds to do exactly that, every single day. Listen, you cannot keep driving on fumes without eventually breaking down. It's just biology.
Let's move on to Section 2, The Power of Routine and Rest, Your Daily Lifeline.
I want you to take a quick pause right now and honestly answer this in your head. When was the very last time you did something just for yourself? Because here's the hard truth. Your joy, your peace of mind, and your health, they matter just as much as your loved ones. If you're drawing a blank and can't remember the last time you did something just for you, your daily rhythm is way out of balance. Now, the secret to fixing that balance isn't some massive life overhaul. It's really about building what the text calls core anchors. Basically, 3 to 5 predictable touch points in your day. We're talking things like a brief morning grounding routine, a simple 10-minute midday reset, or fiercely protecting your sleep environment. Doing this dramatically cuts down on decision fatigue. It creates this wonderful sense of emotional safety and predictability that our human brains completely crave, especially when we're in high-stress environments. The golden rule to remember here is simply the number 1. Commit to doing just one thing for yourself every single day. Seriously, it could be taking a walk around the block, drinking a hot cup of coffee in total silence, or just calling a friend. But you must protect that time like it is a critical medical appointment, because honestly, it is truly just as vital to your survival. So how do we actually do this? That brings us to Section 3, Practical Ways to Recharge, the 5-minute toolkit. The big takeaway here is that micro habits add up. You do not need to book a lavish weekend retreat. You just need intentional moments anchored to things you're already doing anyway. Drink a full glass of water before you have that morning coffee. Do a quick neck stretch while the microwave is running. Just sit in 60 seconds of complete, total silence. These little 5-minute habits are game changers. They help regulate your body and refresh your mind without adding another massive, daunting task to your to-do list. For example, consider the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. The source text shares this really powerful story about a caregiver named Isaiah. He was in a crowded grocery store when his adult brother with autism had a severe, very public meltdown. Isaiah felt himself starting to spiral into a panic. But instead of losing control, he just looked at the floor and started naming the colors of the tiles. He used his senses, naming 5 things he could see, 4 he could feel, and so on, to quite literally pull his brain out of that panic spiral. It allowed him to calm down, gently approach his brother, and successfully de-escalate the whole situation. Then there is the sheer biological power of the box breathing technique. When chaos erupts, your fight or flight response instantly kicks in, right? But by just Inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and holding for 4, you can physically reset your entire central nervous system in under a minute. It's incredible. It allows you to become the anchor in the storm, responding with your calm instead of feeding into their chaos. Moving right along to Section 4, building your support circle. You're not alone. I want you to think of your support circle kind of like a balanced table. You need different legs to keep the whole thing stable. Family and friends offer one specific kind of support. Fellow caregivers and peer groups, they offer this deep, unspoken understanding because they've actually been there in the trenches. Workplace allies provide backup, and formal services provide that crucial professional relief you need. When everyone is carrying a slightly different piece of the weight, the table stays standing. And we really need to reframe how we view this kind of relief. Respite care is absolutely not a luxury. It is a necessity. Taking time away, whether that's through Medicaid waivers, in-home aids, or local day programs, is a vital health tool. It is designed specifically to prevent your breakdown. Please hear this. It is not a reward you have to earn by pushing yourself to the absolute brink of exhaustion. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, letting go of guilt, grace over perfection. We must completely, totally reframe this perfection mindset. The myth tells you that you have to meet every single need flawlessly and never ever complain. Well, that is a recipe for disaster. Acknowledging your human limitations isn't selfish in the slightest. Replacing that harsh self-judgment with grace, just recognizing that your mere presence is powerful and your effort is enough, is quite literally the only way you can sustain your care for the long haul. Because here is the reality. Feeling guilty does not mean you actually are guilty. Guilt is just an emotion. It's a sign of your deep love, your intense commitment, and your incredibly high sense of responsibility. But it is not a verdict that you are doing something wrong just by taking a nap, asking for a little help, or claiming 1 hour of silence. So I'll leave you with this one final provocative question to chew on. What is one thing you will do just for yourself today? Remember, your care matters exactly as much as those you serve. If you break down, the whole system breaks down. I really hope this explainer empowers you to finally let go of that heavy guilt, claim your daily rest, and realize that by caring for yourself, you are actually becoming the strongest possible caregiver for the ones you love.